When most people think of New Zealand gangs, they picture the mongrel mob or black power. Huge numbers, street fights, and visible chaos. But beneath the surface is another force, one that doesn't need thousands of members to hold power. This is the Headhunters Motorcycle Club, a brotherhood that has built its reputation on discipline, fear, and money. Known as New Zealand's most feared outlaw motorcycle club, their story is one of ruthless organization and quiet influence. The Headhunters emerged in Auckland in the 1960s, when motorcycle clubs were springing up across the country. At first, they looked like any other local biker group, men riding bikes, wearing leather, sticking together. But what set them apart was a strict sense of loyalty and control. They weren't interested in being the loudest gang on the block. Instead, they began to build something more enduring, a club that would survive decades of crackdowns, raids, and rivalries. By the 1980s, the Headhunters had grown from a small crew into an established outlaw motorcycle club with real influence. Their headquarters, in the Auckland suburb of Ellerslie, became infamous, a fortress-like base where business was conducted. Deals were struck and rivals knew not to come uninvited. Police intelligence at the time described them as different to the mongrel mob or black power. While those groups were visible on the streets, the Headhunters kept a lower profile, choosing to operate in the shadows, where power is harder to measure but far more dangerous. Here's an example of just how the Headhunters MC operate. Being discreet without trying to draw any unwanted attention. The real turning point for the Headhunters came when they shifted their focus away from street fights and into serious business. While other gangs were gaining headlines for violence, the Headhunters quietly moved into organized crime. Drug trafficking, particularly methamphetamine, became their cornerstone. They were known to tax or control the trade in certain areas, ensuring they took a cut of the profits. Extortion, protection rackets, and money laundering followed. In time, they weren't seen as just another gang, but as a criminal enterprise, one that ran like a corporation. Police and journalists began to describe them as New Zealand's most sophisticated gang. They were clever enough to keep their hands in both worlds, operating legitimate-looking businesses like gyms, property rentals, and small companies, while funneling the profits of crime through those same channels. A community boxing gym might look like it was there to help local youth, but behind the scenes, it was also a way to build loyalty, recruit new blood, and keep the gang's influence growing. Part of their power comes from exclusivity. Unlike other gangs that patch hundreds of men, the Headhunters are extremely selective. Earning a patch can take years. Prospects are tested for loyalty, silence, and the ability to bring value to the club. This makes members feel like part of something elite, a level above the chaos of larger gangs. It also means the club stays disciplined. Fewer weak links, fewer informants, fewer mistakes. Inside prisons, this exclusivity only adds to their reputation. Inmates know that wearing the Headhunters patch isn't just about violence, it's about status. Over time, the Headhunters expanded their influence beyond New Zealand's borders. They forged links with Australian outlaw motorcycle clubs like the Rebels and later the Comancheros. These alliances gave them access to larger drug networks and international smuggling routes. Police intelligence reports link them to methamphetamine pipelines that run from Asia through Australia and into New Zealand. By keeping strong ties across the Tasman, the Headhunters secured a place in the bigger picture of organized crime in the Pacific. Back home, expansion continued. In the 1990s and 2000s, the Headhunters opened chapters in Wellington and the Bay of Plenty. Each chapter remained tightly controlled, loyal to the original Auckland base. Unlike other gangs, they didn't spread wildly, and this slower, deliberate growth kept them strong. Every new chapter was another foothold, another way to control territory. Not through sheer numbers, but through precision. To police, this level of control is what makes the Headhunters so dangerous. They're not unpredictable. They're calculated. If someone breaks the rules or draws too much attention, punishment is swift, often violent, but always decisive. They know that staying under the radar is what keeps them alive. This discipline, and their ability to stay quiet while still making millions, is why the Headhunters are often described as New Zealand's most feared outlaw motorcycle club. Despite their reputation, some members have tried to present a different face to the public. They've opened gyms, community programs, and even talked about giving young men opportunities. But critics argue this is more about appearances than real change. For many, the Headhunters community outreach is just another mask, a way to polish their image, recruit the next generation, and deflect attention from their criminal empire. Even when leaders are arrested, the club keeps going. The structure is strong enough that new figures step up, keeping operations alive. Police may celebrate big raids and high-profile convictions, but the Headhunters have proven resilient. Decade after decade, they adapt, survive, and maintain their grip on the underworld. This is what makes them unique in New Zealand. They don't need thousands of patched members. They don't need public rallies or giant gatherings to show strength. The Headhunters are feared because they're selective, disciplined, and connected. In a world where chaos often defines gangs, they built their empire on control. The story of the Headhunters is a reminder that power isn't always about numbers. Sometimes it's about strategy, patience, and control. And in the shadows of New Zealand's underworld, no one understands that better than the Headhunters Motorcycle Club.